Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Many of us deal with this all the time, and it can be a challenge because we want to move forward. We have goals, but then we procrastinate for whatever the reason is. Now, take that and apply it to somebody who has ADHD. Even more impactful because you're procrastinating for potentially some other reasons. We are going to help you out with that, or maybe a loved one, maybe your child who may be dealing with ADHD. She's a coach that handles that. I didn't even know they existed. She's back with us. Stacey Cannon is here. Hey, Stacey, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, great to have you back here. And this is a struggle for many people. Maybe all of us, we procrastinate. Let's say we have a task or maybe part of our job, but we don't do it, or we put it off because many of us are afraid we'll fail at it or we'll make a mistake. So it's like, yeah, I'll get to that, or I want to put more time into it. Really, we're just procrastinating. How does it look to somebody who has ADHD with that procrastination?
Well, as you said, absolutely, we all do it. And give yourself some some grace with all of it. But with ADHD, you know, a person is going to have those executive function challenges. And when you come home at the end of the day, we're all dealing with different things. Maybe somebody went through a breakup, or, work was a lot that day. And cognitively, your brain is just spent and you can't do the things that need to get done at home.
Mm.
That's okay.
That's normal for all of us.
Yes.
I go home and I'm like, I have to mop the floors. I have a dog. Sometimes he leaves a little stuff here and there. It's like, I'm not going to do that. And then I'm going to do that. But now it's 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow, or do it tomorrow.
And the ADHD brain might take it a step further. And I'm just going to use, let's just say, the dishes for an example.
Sure.
They've been sitting there. Oh, okay. I see them every time I walk by them. When should I do them? Okay, if I do some of them, then I can put them in the dishwasher, but is the dishwasher emptied? And all these little things, it's almost like we go through all these little tiny steps that maybe the typical brain wouldn't necessarily go through. They'd be like, okay, I'm going to either get these done or I'm not. It can wait. But for me, with Thanksgiving, I brought a couple different dishes, and I was thinking ahead because I brought green bean casserole. I was like, I do not want to scrub this dish. So I brought a pan of it just in something that I could throw away. And then another dish that really didn't require any baking. I was like, okay, I can put this in a fancy dish. But there's just a lot of steps. People usually with the ADHD brain have to kind of go through. And even if, just put a little dent in it. You don't have to do the whole thing. And look at maybe why do you have all those things? Did you have a big family dinner and had a good time? You can relate it to something positive. But there's just, too many steps kind of going through our head with that ADHD brain, even for the small tasks.
So do we break it into chunks? Like if somebody has ADHD, like the dishes is a great example. So you pass by it, and many times is somebody saying, well, I could do a little bit of that, but maybe I'll wait. Or maybe I can do a couple of spoons and maybe clean those, put those in the dishwasher. Is it kind of like you marinate back and forth?
Well, a lot of people, I will tell you, kind of look at the big picture like, we got to get all these done. Or I told my son to do this and it hasn't gotten done yet. And so mom and dad might be frustrated. There's different things that could, be tied to that. But, find what works for you. For me, I'll give you an example. I have a hack that works for me, and I've been doing it for years. One, rarely do I ask my kids to do the dishes because it's easier for me to do it. Now, everybody takes their plates and rinses them off in the sink. So guess what? I don't have to do that. And so for me, that's one step of doing the dishes that doesn't have to get done.
Hmm.
And then, depending on how I feel, I might bust out the paper plates that night.
Full disclosure, I haven't touched a regular plate in months. I know it's not great for the environment, but every day that's what I do because it's just
you
yeah,
do you and what works and
sure.
makes it easier because you know what? I, you know, there's plenty of other things you could do or find to help the environment, but I don't know what those are, but I know they're out there. Um, yeah, you can do that. So for me, once I put everything in the dishwasher, I set it time, I program it to start, around midnight.
Hmm.
Once everybody's done showering and so forth. And when I get up in the morning, that's one thing I just do because I'm getting up early anyways, because the dogs always come to my side of the bed. And I'm like, well, I'm up.
Yeah.
So I empty it and put it away. It takes me sometimes less than 5 minutes. And boom, it's done. That's something that's just worked for me. But everybody just has to find something. And it was more work to ask my kids to do it.
Yes. uh what you're describing, I feel is for most households, way more challenging with ADHD, but just what you're saying, I deal with it. I got it. I got you. It's the same thing that it's easier. But at that, from a parental standpoint, I think we all agree all we're doing is enabling our kids not to do the task. But then you have to weigh your parental frustration and the stress and all of that, asking them to do it again.
And I look at what my kids are doing as a whole. Now, every summer they've gone away to camp. One goes for 2, one's aged out and she went for 4. And I know they are every morning the cabin has to clean their cabin.
Mm,
So they're cleaning the toilets, making their beds. So they're doing that. But my kids have been doing their laundry since the 5th grade.
cool. Yeah.
I don't have to do that. And
Yeah.
they always, they can get their room messed up or whatnot, but on one of my kids on her own, she cleans every Sunday afternoon. I don't tell her to do that.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
one just kind of keeps her room picked up now that she's older. And so, and one has a job, so they're working, and so forth and doing other things. They're involved in different activities. So a lot of times they're gone when I want the dishes done.
I guess it comes down to pick your battles.
You
Mm.
do. And something there was a short time when my kids were little when I was a stay-at-home mom. It didn't last long. I was a better mom when I worked. But with that, I was always overwhelmed with cleaning the house. So if I'm working, I always had somebody clean my house. And I was fortunate enough and thankful that I was able to do that. But that's almost in a way, as the parent, that I'm giving myself some self-care
Mm.
by not having to do that when I'm not working.
Sure.
It's a different way to look at it. And go get, that massage and whatnot, whatever works for you. But I started looking at it a little differently.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, there is something to be said about self-care, and it can come in many shapes and forms.
it can.
Self-care could be, I don't have to do anything today. I'm just going to
Mhm.
hang out. You're not getting a massage or nails done or anything.
Absolutely.
That is part of self-care. We have a question. You can reach us anytime, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. Gina is in Newark, New Jersey, and says, what is the difference between ADD and ADHD?
Okay, so technically ADD is not a term that is used anymore. So everything falls under ADHD,
Okay.
and there's different
Hmm.
types. And basically, the what ADD is now is more like ADHD, kind of the inattentive when you're not like hyperactive, so to speak. You're not the one bouncing on the walls, but
So that's ADHD or ADD?
that's kind of what I think of as the what ADD was.
Was.
They
Gotcha.
don't call it that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they did
Hmm.
away with that. But it's kind of the one where usually a doctor will say ADHD inattentive type.
So that would mean that somebody doesn't have that, and this is my description, the best I can do,
Uh,
the hyperactivity, but may have challenges with focus, maybe organization, things like that. Does that sound right for what was
And
ADD?
like in my, yes, they may be the daydreamer. They could be the ones that might fall through the cracks at school
Hmm. Okay.
because they're the good kid, like a good kid, meaning the teacher's not always getting on them and so forth.
Right, because they're more chill, maybe,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but maybe they're still struggling in
Oh,
terms of school.
100%.
Okay. Okay. What, in your opinion, and this is not scientific,
Right. And I'm not a doctor,
uh,
so
disclaimers all out there, but I'm curious when a child, we'll focus on children then,
right.
has ADHD or something, related to it, some say ADD, whatever. What percentage of those have that hyperactivity portion? Ballpark in here. Is it like typically, child like maybe from what you've heard, seen that's included maybe 30% of the time, or it's more
Oh
than that?
gosh. It's hard to give a percentage. I see a lot of inattentives come my way.
Okay. Okay. Inattentive would mean without the hyperactive portion.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
got
And
it.
you can be both. You can be
Of
both.
course, of course. Yeah.
Um,
I just wondered for kids how often that was. Just just a wondering, I guess.
yeah, gosh, that would be, I don't know. I
Hmm,
don't know.
okay, fair enough. Yeah, all good. I
Yeah.
didn't know if it, maybe presented itself in different ways. Um, how do you work with a child who procrastinates on a regular basis? A child who has been diagnosed.
Mhm, mhm. You know, one, I kind of take a look at their whole day,
Mm,
what they've got going on,
okay.
parent expectations. Are you expecting your kid to take out the trash before school?
Hmm,
Probably not going to happen. We may want to relook at that, and that's okay.
sure.
Are you looking at just wanting the task done on a day, or are there other things in there, like is the parent annoyed all day because it hasn't gotten done yet? Um, say trash days on Thursday. Maybe we want to set a certain time the night before to take it out.
Hmm,
That kind of thing. So they're not rushing Thursday morning. If we're talking about laundry, A lot of kids are doing laundry, and everybody deserves clean clothes. Um, I ask, what is the state of the laundry? Meaning, where is it in your room as far as
Hmm.
is everything just in different spots on the floor, or is there a hamper?
Hmm.
Where is your hamper? If it's in a closet that they're not looking at, they may not think about it.
Okay.
So
So,
it's some of these little things that the ADHD brain just needs to be made aware of
hmm.
that can make a difference. And you know what? Do one load. Look at your schedule. Are you forgetting that it's in there because you're setting it and going off somewhere and then you don't come back till later? It's just kind of look, there's so many things that can be tied in to a lot of these things that somebody can procrastinate on.
Hmm.
And even just doing it once and getting it done is a success.
So I'm learning a lot here in that those little nuances, those little, what may seem like little can be big things. Let's go with the laundry, that you keep the hamper in the closet. Well, out of sight, out of mind for somebody that, a kid has ADHD, you might want to make sure it's visible. So it's a reminder for them. And also cutting your kids some slack in that if they're doing all of this, you can't also expect them to do this,
Mhm.
or you pace it, like saying going to
Yeah.
school, taking the garbage out before school. Well, my son doesn't have ADHD. I can see that totally. He's a zombie when he wakes up. He
Sure.
barely gets going. And as much as it would be nice to say, they're picking up the garbage typically like 7 a.m. Can you take it out before, as you're walking to the bus? To
Yeah.
us, it's like, but a kid, and especially with ADHD, maybe that's more of a challenge. So I
Mhm.
guess we have to walk in their shoes no matter who they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. But there's still an expectation out there for them to get chores done and so forth. I'm not saying it's a free ride, but just kind of take, like you said, put yourself in their shoes and, see, um, just to try to make it a little bit smoother for them to get
Sure.
certain things done for them. And just like an adult hack, my house is generally fairly clean, but the one thing that I struggled with, and I put it off and put it off because it's not something I have to do all the time, and my closet was messy.
Hmm.
But I could shut that door. But finally, I got so fed up with it. And my husband and I share a closet, always have. But what I did was I had a Saturday open and I bought the Britney Spears book on Audible, put
Mm-hmm.
it on. I got it done in 2 hours.
The book?
Her book, yeah, her
You
Audible. Oh, well, my closet, not the
Oh,
book.
okay. I was
Sorry.
like, how did you do
But
that?
but
Oh, so you
yeah, but
clean
I
the
had it
closet
on.
while Audible was on, you're listening to the book.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
interesting. Yeah. Uh, that makes a big difference when you declutter. I was having this conversation with somebody last night whose daughter has I guess ADHD, but not the hyperactive portion of it.
Sure.
And the conversation was about cleaning. And she
Mhm.
even talked to her kids. And even she is saying, we got to declutter this place. And one of her daughters said, you know what, Mom? Why don't we wait till after the holidays to do it? And it kind of made sense because you got decorations out, then you put them away, blah, 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 back and forth. But the decluttering, I have to imagine, especially when dealing with ADHD, can be a game changer, right?
Mhm. It can. And if you're in something else to pay attention to, if your child is used to doing something and suddenly they may be regressing in that area as far as chores, Just talk to them. Maybe there's something that can be an easy fix. With my daughter several years ago, she kind of stopped doing her laundry, and I was like, what's going on? And I went to help her. And so, one, that did help, but we realized that she still had these child hangers. And so it was so frustrating for her to put her clothes on them because they would always fall. And because it was frustrating for me when I was helping her. And I was like, oh my
Sure.
gosh, we need to get you some bigger hangers.
I spoke to a professional organizer, actually a couple of them, and they suggest having all the same hangers and always put them in the same direction. And I did that. I moved last year and went kind of like a fresh start. So now you're putting stuff away, and then you have those like wire hangers from the cleaners, and you have the ones with the cardboard on them. Like, this is going.
Yeah.
Spent $25 on Amazon. Got a big box of nice plastic hangers, all in the same color. I know it sounds minimal. It makes such a huge difference.
Absolutely. Those
Yeah.
those things do, and you don't have to spend a lot of money.
No, and I got tons of hangers left over, like dozens left over.
There you
So,
go.
but yeah, like in your closet, when you look at the way it looks, and how it's more functional and easier to get to stuff,
Uh-huh.
some maybe just basic organization can
Absolutely.
make a big difference for somebody that has ADHD.
Yeah. And I got rid of a bunch of clothes, and my mind was, well, I can sell these. So I had a bag that sat there for a week. I was like, I am not going to sell these. I'm just going to take them and donate them.
Stacey, the bag has been sitting in my hallway by the stairs for 3 weeks now. Going on 3 weeks because I cleaned. I didn't finish doing all the closets, but I purged stuff, gained a little bit of weight.
Sure.
I'm not going to wear that again.
Right.
Was thinking the same thing, and then now I'm back on. I'm going to donate them. I still haven't gotten to it. I'm not even kidding. There's a big garbage bag in the hallway because I haven't gotten to it yet. I got to get to it.
Yeah.
But you know
Yeah.
what's now I'm getting, even a thought here. Isn't it funny that when you leave that stuff around your house, that it becomes part of your house, like that garbage bag with the clothes?
Uh-huh. Yes.
I I pass it every day, 5 times, 8 times a day. I
Mhm.
didn't even think of it until you just said it because I'm so used to seeing it there.
Yes.
So, I'm walking in somebody who has ADHD's shoes, and what that can be like in terms of not supporting them in an organization, like that's in the way, and that's in the way, and that's in the way.
Mhm.
I can just imagine how frustrating that might be to somebody.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this is what you do as a coach, these little things that you make us realize.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Hmm. And yeah, we're centering on kids here, but even for adults, and
Oh, yeah.
and even in the big picture, I know somebody who's very intuitive, very famous for what this person does. Um, if you believe in energy, having all that clutter blocks your flow of energy and just
Mhm.
mentally messes you up, no
It
matter
does.
who you are. And we don't realize it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So in working with somebody, and we have just a couple of minutes left, how does that work? Do you hear their story and maybe the challenges like a parent might have? Listen, I tell my kid to do chores and they don't do chores. Where do I go with that? How do I motivate them? Is that part of also what you do?
Yeah, it is. And so sometimes, like for the average person, it can be the littlest thing. And something we do every day, it's maybe putting up some, athletic gear that, you come home, it's just thrown outside, but maybe we have a visual and we talk through things. So I hear their
Mm,
story, pick different things out, and we dive through it. And sometimes it's starting with a visual for that child to have a reminder. And
mm,
sometimes that's all that's needed. And the parents are like, oh my goodness, it's like a whole new world at the house.
yeah.
Or having that visual and one reminder by the parent.
Mm,
Everybody's household is different, but it's
yes.
those kinds of things.
Yeah. The things that we don't realize, like you pick up on
Mhm.
them, and what's going to motivate somebody that has ADHD or struggling with it.
Right.
Stacey, how do we connect with you? How do we find you?
Yeah, so you can find my website, hillcountryadhd.com. And if anybody has any questions, you can reach me by email, hillcountryadhd@gmail.com.
Awesome. Always great talking with you. Love the insight. Goal today, donate that bag of clothes that's on my stairs.
There you go. I'll check in with you next time.
Well, that's the accountability. That's what you need too. Yeah, as a coach.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Okie doke. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.